This is McFly Angler.
Starts now.
To start, we need a dry fly hook like these Risen 100s, and today I'm tying in a size 14. Place the hook securely in your vise. The thread I'm using today is Veevus 10-aught in brown. Start your thread 2 hook eye or so lengths from the eye of the hook, and then bring your thread down to about the bend of the hook. For the tail, we need a feather from a brown and a grizzly cape. Turn over the cape and get one of the larger feathers from the back and strip off the fuzzies. Also grab one from the grizzly. Make sure the fibers of the feathers are the same length, and then strip off the fuzzies from that feather, and finish ripping off all the fuzzies from the other feather as well. Put the feathers together and pull off about a dozen or so fibers from the feathers, pulling them outward to align the tips. Measure out the tail to a little short of the hook shank length. Then switch out that measurement to your other hand and tie the tail down to just shy of the bend of the hook. Then make a loose wrap under it to flare out the tail a bit. Wrap up to about the first tie-in spot and clip off the waist feathers. Now we need some dubbing. Traditionally, I think this was tied with muskrat, but this UV2 fine and dry is easier to find and works pretty well. Obviously, the Adam Gray color here is what we will use. Pull out a small amount. Now make a fine dubbing noodle onto your thread, but taper it slightly like so. Now proceed to make touching wraps with the noodle up the hook shank covering the brown thread. You will want to come up to just shy of the initial tie-in point, and if you need to add more dubbing, then do so. Now we need some grizzly feathers for wings, and this whiting hen saddle will work great. The tips are rounded and webby, exactly what we need. Find 2 that have about the same size tip. Then pull back the feathers to expose just the tip to look like a wing. Measure this against the hook to see if it's the right size. Now this is a bit too long for my liking. That's okay, just stroke more of the fibers down until you're happy with the size of the wing. Do the same thing with the other feather, making the wings the same size. Then align the feathers together with the tips of the wings the same length and both splaying outward from each other. Tying the wings with a couple wraps, wrapping back a bit from the space made by stroking the fibers rearward. Cut off the waist feather and then cut off any extra pieces you might have missed with the first cut. Now pull the wings up and make a thread dam in front of them to keep them aligning upward. Then split the feathers with your thread, making an X wrap between them to further splay them outward. And with your thread behind them. Now we need some dry fly hackle. You could use the same rooster capes you use for the tail feathers, but I personally like using rooster saddle for this. The feathers are a little longer and easier to work with in my opinion. Anyway, you will need 2 colors, a brown and a grizzly again here. Pull off an appropriate sized hackle, which you can measure against the hook, or you can get one of those hackle gauges to find the right size for a size 14 hook. Actually, this is just shy of 14, but this is fine. Also find a grizzly the same size. And let's start with the grizzly feather. Pull off some of the fibers at the base of the feather stem, then tie it into the fibers are angling rearward. You can see here that the fibers angle one direction slightly. Anyway, make an X wrap over the feather stem to hold it into place. Then do the same thing with the brown feather. I now like to tie down the stems to make sure that these don't pull out. Just slowly make a few wraps up the hook shank to bend the stems forward. Jump past the wings and tie the tips down also. Now let's start wrapping the hackle. Start with the color you tied in first, in this case the grizzly. I usually make 2 wraps behind the wings, and by the way you can pull the wings forward to get them out of the way. Then I pull the wings rearward and make 2 to 3 wraps in front of them as well. Capture the hackle, trying to trap as little fiber as possible with 2 wraps through the hackle and then 2 in front. Trim off the waist hackle. Now do the same thing with the brown hackle, bringing it up through the grizzly. Try to make about the same number of wraps with the brown, and then capture the brown hackle in the same way and trim off the waist. Now with the second hackle, I always end up trapping more fibers than the first for some reason. That's okay, you can just trim them off. Clean up the head with a couple wraps. Now I want to mention this fly can also be tied with a single feather, if you can find a Cree hackle. However, they're usually hard to find and therefore very expensive. If any of the hackle fibers are pushed forward, you can tease them rearward a bit with the tip of your scissors or something round like so. Okay, now you can whip finish your fly. To cement the head, I like this Loon water-based head cement. It doesn't gum up the eye, and it's thin enough to penetrate the thread wraps well. Anyway, adjust the wings to where you want them. Then do that trick again to stroke the fibers forward that are angling rearward. And there we have it, a finished Adams dry fly. These are some of the most popular dry flies out there. This specific coloration is probably the most popular, but other Catskill style flies also work great. They can be tied in a number of different colors to mimic specific hatches in your area. Let me know in the comment section what is your favorite Catskill style fly. As you all know, I have gotten you all discounts from both www.risenfly.com and www.dooleysflyfishing.com. Dooleys offers great prices on all of the name brand fly tying materials, and Risen Fly manufactures their own hooks, rods, reels, and other gear for fly fishing. Their products are top quality, and best of all, they are priced very reasonably. Not only are the prices at these two shops great, but like I said, they are offering all of my subscribers a discount. So use McFly at checkout when ordering from either of these shops, and you will get an additional 15% off of their already great prices. I want to also thank all of my Patreons who support me. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support this channel and also get some great perks like early access to my videos, participate in live streams, and more. So go to www.patreon.com/McFlyAngler to sign up today. I also thank all of you who share all my videos with your friends and your continued support by hitting the like buttons and subscribing. Thank you for making these videos possible. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.